Welcome to this month's installment of Brass Chats, brought to you by Monster Oil. What is this, 21 year?
Hey everybody, welcome to Brass Chats. Today we're sitting down with a gentleman who's played with the New York Metropolitan Opera Orchestra for 29 years and has taught at the Juilliard School since 1982. Mark Gould, thanks so much for being with us.
Great pleasure. I'm glad to be with the Army. You're not in the Army.
I'm not in the Army, no.
You're in the Coast Guard. You're defending this country.
Well, yeah.
Thank God.
That's what we do.
I feel much safer.
Excellent.
Great.
What are you up to lately? What kind of projects are you working on nowadays?
I'm working, the last thing I was doing, I was out in Oregon, and I'm writing with my partner in Pink Baby Monster.
Uh-huh.
We're doing a piece.
Brian McWhorter?
Brian McWhorter.
Yep.
With Brian, and Brian has written a piece called Genesis, and we're working on the text for that. We're going to do that in Banff in about a month.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah, it's about a 12, 13-minute piece. It's about the genesis of music on Earth. It's a typical Pink Baby Monster production. Makes actually a great sense and no sense whatsoever.
Let's back up for a second and
Yes,
talk
sir.
about Pink Baby Monster
Yes.
and like what is it for a lot of people out there who don't know exactly what it is. I'm not sure I know what it is, and I've seen just about every video.
Right. Well, Pink Baby Monster sort of dissolves and reforms about every 6 months.
Okay.
So our band, or whatever we did, it started in 2001, right after 9/11, as a reaction to, well, let's see, an angry reaction to what happened after 9/11, meaning the complete militarization of the United States, which we anticipated right after it happened. We wrote the theme song for, the bombing, and it was very prescient. So we made a record in 2002, which was like a very angry hip-hop record. Can you imagine that? Me doing a hip-hop record. So we did that, and then we said, well, that's really not the way to go. So we decided to spread our message in a much more humorous way.
Uh-huh.
So we did full productions of Desert Jews, from Jesus to Oppenheimer. And we did something called Elixirs, about creating the perfect drug for classical music for both performers and audience members alike.
Uh-huh.
Does that answer your question?
Sure. It leads me to several other questions.
Yes,
but,
certainly.
Well, I mean, how does the social commentary, you started off as a politically motivated thing. I mean, how is that playing through today? Has it changed over the years so it's not as political, do you feel? Or what is, Genesis doesn't sound political.
No, that's decidedly not political. That's just hopefully amusing, funny.
Okay.
It's sort of like Mr. Rogers meets Henry Kissinger, that kind of thing.
Well, of course.
Of course, it's clear, right? Okay.
And what are your future plans? Do you have any plans beyond Genesis, or is that?
Well, I mean, at this point, I really have no future plans, further than tomorrow.
Okay.
If I can get out of bed, that's a good day. Future plans on the trumpet. Every so often, I think that I should really make another CD, but that's quickly dispensed with when I start practicing, which destroys my confidence. When I don't practice, I feel much better about my playing.
And your last album was 1930? Cafe
1930, yeah, it was a solo record, yeah. I have like a lot of music to do a follow-up to that.
Oh, you do?
And if I get angry enough about the shit that I hear that trumpet players are recording these days, then I decide, well, maybe I should do another one.
What are you angry about?
The abysmal lack of new repertoire, the sounds that trumpet players make, which are very good, but they sound like classical saxophone players to me. Everything has become more uniform and standardized outside the jazz world. Jazz world's a little bit different.
What are the challenges you see as an educator beyond, I mean, you just mentioned one of them, the uniformity in sound, and to one extent you have to be able to win an audition with a certain type of sound, otherwise you lose the audition. The other extent, you want to be an individual like you said. How do you reconcile those differences with your students?
Well, it depends. If you're taking an audition, you're not putting yourself out there as a soloist. Put yourself out there as a soloist, that's another category. And there are a few of those that, I've had in my studio over the years.
Jens Lindemann.
Jens Lindemann, Chris Coletti, Caleb Hudson, who else? Brandon Ridenauer, more soloists. And they probably sound a little bit different. Now the standard of sound in an orchestra is, I don't know how you feel about this, it's like very restrictive. The only thing anyone could do is just try to sound the best they can, make their best sound. I don't think there's any one particular sound, but the best sound that they can make. With talented players, I mean, you have your own gods. Like you hear someone who you want to emulate, then you do that. I want to sound just like Dave Bilger or Mike Sachs or Mark Inouye or Mark Hughes, any other many great players, Chris Martin, on and on, Tom Rolfes, on and on and on and on. The number of really great trumpet players of every kind, I mean, has grown exponentially over the years. So,
how would your career be different if you were growing up in today's music environment? Because it's obviously changed quite a bit, like you mentioned.
Right, I probably wouldn't be alive today. I would have been on the road doing various this, various that. I mean, when I got the job was in 1974. So, I mean, I won an audition. There was not the level of competition that there is now.
What was your audition like?
Like it is now. It was behind the screen. I had to go 3 different days. It's a long story, but there wasn't a level of competition. Now it's like winning a job is like winning the U.S. Open golf tournament. Even to get into the Coast Guard band, I imagine the level of players that you encounter must be
these guys
extraordinarily good.
These guys had 110 people at their audition.
There you go.
Won.
And the players I hear in the service bands are phenomenal. I mean, I just can't believe it. What a fucking waste. You know what I'm saying? Here you are, you're in this army. I mean, like you're way overqualified to do what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
We find little pockets of places where we can have our fun and make some music, actually. They allow us to make music every now and then. It's not all bugle calls and funerals.
Well, even so, you're still playing in the band. You're playing in the band, and I guess it depends who's up in front of you, how good or bad that could be.
Oh, dramatically.
Because you could see, someone who has no idea what they're doing, what they're hearing. They could sort of conduct through the music.
Yeah.
And since you can't do drugs, I guess you just drink more heavily.
We drink heavily.
Week. Yeah. Right.
So, I mean, you growing up in today's environment, I mean, seriously, how do you see yourself? Do you not go into music if you're a kid today?
No, I mean, I was, I would be doing something creative. And I would be doing something creative in music if I were, what would I do?
Well, you mentioned about the different sounds and being a soloist. It's very hard to make a living as a trumpet soloist.
Well, it's impossible to make a living now in the music business, except for very, very few people.
That's true. Yeah.
That ship has sailed. It's a completely different world. I mean, I don't mean to be so negative about it, but it's like very, very difficult.
How do you counsel students as to that problem?
It's unusual that people still want to come play the trumpet and go to a conservatory. I mean, I find it mind-blowing every year. There are still those people. So if they're interested in the trumpet, okay, we work on the trumpet. And over the years, I've become a better teacher, because I've had every problem in the world. So I enjoy teaching. I enjoy the one-on-one. How would I counsel students?
Are you upfront with them about this problem that it's
they
very
know,
difficult?
But everybody knows. It's like, yeah, of course. I'm mentoring people, my students now, to be doing other creative projects, just so they get a taste of what it feels like to be an artist and not just an artisan, not just a trumpet player. You have to do more than that. So I was working this past year with a student on a hip hop record, listening to tracks. In the past, producing records for people, or doing various creative music projects, which in fact helps their trumpet playing, because they're not so obsessed about their trumpet playing. Being obsessed about the trumpet is both good and bad. It can be very good for certain people. Other people, it just sends them right down a dark black hole. You know what it's like if you play the opening of pictures in an exhibition, for the 4,000th time, you must be getting worse. I mean, how could you possibly, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we want to try to steer them.
I feel like we're at one of the most contentious points in music history right now. Well, at least American recent music history, in that there's such a transformation right now with the record companies and how way everybody's making money in music. Where do you see the whole thing shaking out? Where do you see it landing?
I see it landing that all musicians will become amateurs.
Really?
Yes. I was talking to Peter Evans. You know Peter Evans?
I don't.
He plays solo concerts on the piccolo trumpet for 1 hour with extended techniques. No one in the world does what he does. He's absolutely unbelievable. Genius level stuff. But he was working with, he told me, I can't remember who it was a very famous singer in India. And this guy has a regular job. He said he's like an extraordinary musician. So most of the musicians in India are not professional musicians, they're amateurs. And they play, and it's like that. There has to be another way to make money.
Yeah.
So I try to, with students and people and my own children, you need to find a way to make money, just to have enough. You don't have to be rich, just to have enough.
Now you think that's where it's going to land. Is there a way out? What could happen to make
look
it
at the music business. You have a DJ, various DJs who can come to Madison Square Garden, one person, and fill Madison Square Garden for a week.
Yeah.
One person. Not an orchestra, one person. So it becomes, the DJs, all the EDM players, the DJs, the DJs. That seems to be the future of music. I don't see where there's a possible revenue stream for recording. You used to be able to sell records or sell CDs. With the streaming, it's the corporate interests have won. It seems like there's no money in that.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to see where in music is there a revenue stream for any kind of music. It's not clear to me. I don't really see any light at the end of that tunnel. I don't mean to be so negative. I think music itself is very healthy. People are doing more and more and more music that's very interesting to me, but I don't really know if there's any money in it.
I'm just trying to figure out how you reconcile teaching these students who come to you and say, I want to be a professional musician,
right.
And then you say there's no future in music, making money monetarily.
Right.
How do
I don't reconcile it.
Okay. They come to you and
so
say,
in other words, well, I don't want to say this because you might use it.
Don't say anything. We can cut it later if you don't want.
You can cut it later. Yeah, it's perpetuating a fraud in a way.
Yeah.
On one level, on the money-making level, but the other level, people love to play instruments. I mean, it's almost like there's a physical satisfaction in playing any instrument.
Yeah.
And people have not stopped playing instruments. I mean, you pick up your trumpet. It feels good to make a sound coming out of the trumpet. So people love to do it as much as they ever did, maybe more.
Well, looking past the monetary aspect of teaching these students, there's the idea that you're perpetuating art.
Yeah. Hopefully my students get to that point.
Yeah.
Where they do something interesting project. So I mean, I try to lead them on to do interesting projects. At Banff, Brian McWhorter and I, last year we went to Banff and we said, okay, in 3 days we're going to put on a show at the club. You have to come in with a live performance, a video or whatever that is. This is 3 days. They have 3 days to do something, and they all did.
Oh, nice.
And it was like extraordinarily good and successful. So you could do something. If you have to do something really fast, what would you do?
Yeah.
Make a video. What would it be? You could use open source video, make your own video, put music to it, do something. Do something creative. That sort of gets the juices going.
Yeah.
And then you start to be much more sympathetic to the creative process, much more open to the creative process, much more open to what it means to compose or improvise, all the above, what it means to perform, how to be a performer, and not just a note processor. So it needs to move in that direction, and I think it is.
Do you enjoy teaching?
Yes. More now that I'm not working at the opera.
Yeah.
I'm not working, like doing a full-time job there and then teaching. That was harder, because it takes a lot of concentration to really teach.
Yeah.
You got to be there and not just, you can't phone it in for both the student and the teacher.
Okay, so some more about teaching. How do you describe your general teaching style versus how your students would describe your teaching style?
I don't know how they would describe my teaching style. I've heard stories about me as a teacher. People say stuff that I've said. I mean, I don't remember any of them. Each student is an individual, so I teach each student very, very differently. So whatever they come to me with, I start there. So I wouldn't say there's any particular style.
Okay.
I don't have like a set routine that everybody plays. I don't do that.
What traits do you find in your best students?
They work very hard and they have a lot of questions.
Okay, and
And they listen to a lot of music, and they hang out with people who listen to a lot of music.
If you could start from scratch, who would be your trumpet teacher today? Who would you choose if you're young again?
My trumpet teacher?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great question.
Thank you.
I never thought about that. Would be my trumpet teacher. Because it's hard to say because I really didn't have a trumpet teacher after I was 16.
Excuse me?
I didn't really have a trumpet teacher. I mean, I took lessons with various people.
Oh, but you didn't have a steady teacher. Okay.
I didn't have a steady teacher. I studied with Robert Nagel as a kid.
Yeah.
That was good when he played in the lessons, but he didn't do that very much. Only when he was going on the road with the what was it? The brass quintet. What was the one he had?
New York, was it?
New York Brass Quintet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I would hear him playing lessons, and that was good. Other than that, I was like, rather indifferent student. I was not a particularly good student. So he didn't really.
That's what I was going to get to
He didn't kick
next.
me in the ass like I needed to be kicked in the ass then.
That's what I was going to ask you next was about your education. And one question I have for you is, what's the best lesson you ever had in your life?
The best lesson. There are two lessons. One with Vacchiano, one with Jerry Schwartz. It's when they sang something that I was playing, and they sang it to me, how it went, and then the light bulb went off. It says, "Oh, I get this." So you have to have the idea in your head what you're trying to do.
So you had two specific lessons you remember to this day.
To this day.
What walk me through the lesson with Vacchiano, if you could.
Well, he just sang something to me, something I was playing rhythmically, and he sang the rhythm.
What was it?
I can't even remember.
Oh, okay.
It was something maybe in a Brandt etude, and he sang the rhythm, how he heard the rhythm. And Jerry Schwartz did a similar thing in something. He sang it to me, and I went like, "Oh, I get this." So that lasted me for about a year. So I needed to. That set me off. I said, now I know what I need to do.
So the words didn't help you. You needed it when you heard it. It was crystal clear for you. When you heard the singing, when you heard the.
Well, they sang a rhythm that was precise. So I could sing any phrase of music to you, and if you had good ears, you would get how I wanted it to go. I could sing anything that you asked me to, and sing it to you, and you would have an idea how I heard it.
Sure.
So anyway, I could sing it various ways. And that was like a huge jump for me. That made a big difference. So I find that that's the biggest lack in students is they don't play the trumpet plays them. They're just hunting around for something that works to get them through a certain thing.
Yeah. You said you were a poor student.
Yes, I was not in high school. I was not particularly good. No.
And in college, were you a poor student as well?
I didn't take lessons in college. I played for in the Boston University Orchestra for one semester, but it wasn't going fast enough for me, so I quit. But I wasn't supposed to be in there anyway because I was in the liberal arts school, so I got in by mistake. Made all the other music majors very pissed off.
And I don't know how old you were when you won the audition for the Met. Was that shortly after college, or was that a while? Walk me through your early life here. I'm not really sure the sequence of events here.
Well, I came to New York as more of a jazz player, And then I realized I needed to do other stuff to make money. So then I started practicing again, you know, like trumpet like you guys play, you know, like ta, ta, to, to, tiki, tiki, you know, all the shit that you do in the service bands, you know.
Well, that's all we play, yeah.
That one, you know.
Okay, you know good music, all right.
I know that stuff. I actually like marches. I mean, I have my students play marches. The greatest training in the world.
Really?
To be able to play a march.
Why is that?
You have to swing. You have to play with good articulation and good swing and rhythm. It has everything in there. That's what we do as trumpet players, play marches and bugle calls.
Do you have any students working on marches now? Well, it's summer, but I mean...
Yeah, at times if they have a service band audition, they have to play all those marches.
Sure.
But the best ones play the shit out of the marches. As
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's fun to play a march if the band is happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
It kills, you know.
Absolutely. What's your favorite march?
Next.
What's your second favorite march?
There you go. Any march in a minor key, I'm down with that. You
Oh,
know.
really?
There aren't too many. of them.
Bravura? Yeah, that's a good one, sure. I want to get a handle on... Okay, there was a time in your life where you got really good at the trumpet, where you went from one level to a very high level. And I want to know, and I think a lot of people want to know, what you did to get to that level. What was your life like, and how did you do it?
Well, I never thought I really got to a particularly high level playing the trumpet. I mean, this is not false humility, you know. I mean, there's always people that play better. What I could do is do the things I did well, very well. That's what I did. Now, how did I do that?
Yes.
Oh, boy. I mean, I used to practice every day for 3 hours a day. How did I do it? Practice slowly and carefully.
Okay.
I do that. And then
So you were a diligent practicer, 3 hours a day
at a
every
certain
day.
point, very, very diligent practicer.
You
yes.
did 3 hours a day every day for
that's to get like
careful practice. And that was for how long did you do that for? How many years?
well, many, many years, and all the time I worked in the opera as well. I mean, when I was practicing, I would practice a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I sounded pretty good then. I mean, when I was practicing a lot.
Yeah, what kind of things did you work on when you were getting good exercises, etude books, anything in particular?
Same thing you practice.
Okay.
Stamp, Clark, Arbin,
Okay.
Brandt.
The classics.
Right on.
Okay.
People don't play enough etudes now. They do all these fundamental drills. That's good if you have a job like you guys. You know, you could do that because you're playing in a particular situation. Then you could do a lot more drills. If you're not, you need to play a lot of etudes and get them better and better. So performance level. And then you get a lot better.
Okay. Struggles on the trumpet. What struggles
I've had
have you
every one.
Oh, really?
Everyone.
Have you ever had any struggles where you considered quitting the trumpet?
No, not struggles like that.
Pete Bond did. Some people have that.
Well, Pete Bond, I mean, the way he plays the trumpet is like if you gave a fucking gorilla a trumpet. And it would be the greatest gorilla trumpet player who ever lived. That's Pete Bond. You know. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, you know, he could sort of play everything. And, you know, like this ADD gorilla, you know.
Okay, great. Please, in all seriousness, I'd like to hear about some of your struggles, maybe some of the biggest struggles you had, and how you overcame them.
Well, some of them, I mean, for me, my articulation is good but very slow. So I have to practice to get my single tongue up to quarter note equals about 60th note. I mean, a little faster than that.
Okay.
So I had to, things that people single tongue, I had to learn to double tongue. So that's a tremendous struggle. I had trouble playing high notes, low notes, name it. I've had every single problem.
And you just overcame it with hard work, diligent practice on the classic books.
I mean, I don't know if I overcame it. It got better, you know. It was serviceable.
No secrets or anything, just hitting the standard books over and over again with metronome, tuner, and everything.
Yeah, it takes great diligence and practice to do that. Now that, you know, I mean, we were talking about Doc Severinsen, he's 88, he gets up in the morning thinking about what he's going to practice that day. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's like an inspiration. I'm not there. But it's interesting. You know, as now that I'm 67 years old and my playing declines, it's interesting to observe the decline and what I need to practice to stem that decline until it, you know, goes right into the shitter. That's interesting.
What are you practicing nowadays?
Same things. But I mean, I'll improvise more, you know, when I'm playing.
Oh.
I will play through tunes.
Do you still play through the classics, the Clarks and the Arbans? And
Yes, I do.
what's on your stand right now, if you don't mind me asking?
Bach for the Trumpet, Chisanda. You know that book? Bach for the Trumpet, very
no.
good. I'll
I don't
show
think
it
I
to
do.
you.
Okay.
I mean, if you're good, I mean, I'll sell you one. She's like, how much you guys make a week? Pull your...
$20, $25.
I'll show it to you.
Minus
That's good.
tax.
And I'm practicing, what else do I have in the stand? Always Arbans. And then this Colin book called Range Through Scales. I do that. I practice the beginning of the Top Tones book, all those scales.
Yeah.
Very good.
I
I
know
find
this,
that gets me going. Lip slurs, very slowly. Just the same thing. So you get it so it works.
I know we're getting really nerdy now. I apologize, but how do you practice the Arban book?
First 60 pages. I'll pick apart, like, for example, the scales. And I'll play those in every key at various tempi, double tongue, single tongue, slurred. But to get them so they're clean and in all registers. Now that my low registers sort of disappeared.
Okay. We just had a trumpet tip with Doc Severinsen, and it was on articulation. We asked him to talk about articulation, and he cited page 39, exercises 3 through 6, I think it was. And it's just simple half-note lip slurs. Actually, it's all da, da. And that's what he said for articulation. We had a bunch of people write in on the forum saying, what are you talking about? That's not an articulation. And he said if you can play that with control, artistry, and musicianship, that's all you need to play, I think is what he said or something.
Well, I mean, that's interesting he says that, because if you can make a very good lip slur, that means your tongue is very relaxed and functioning very well. And that will help your articulation tremendously. So that kind of a thing, I mean, I understand that.
Yeah.
If you could so you could practice something, you know, you could slur it, and if you can be very smooth slurring it, and then try tonguing, see if you can be as smooth at whatever tempo. Double tonguing.
Let's talk about auditions for a second.
Yeah.
This goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning about making a living.
Right.
You need to win the audition to make
Right.
a steady living. And you've coached many students over the years
Right.
to several auditions. Well, let's talk about you for a second. How many auditions have you taken?
I took 3.
What were they?
Springfield, Mass.
Did you win?
I won. I won because they needed someone to play the Brandenburg.
Oh,
So my audition was to play the Brandenburg.
and that was it?
That was it.
The whole audition?
Oh, yeah. The season started in 3 weeks, so I won. It's not like today, is it?
No.
You get all you fucking nerds, you know, falling out of the ceiling. You know, can't play a lick of music at all.
Oh,
you know, play the
God.
trumpet
You
good.
never even heard us play. You heard me play once.
Uh-oh.
You did. And it sounded about like you just described, yeah. So what was the other 2 auditions were the Met and what else?
National Symphony.
And how did that go?
Not too good. But what I did was I snuck in the balcony of the hall and listened to the finals.
Which job was this?
This is when John DeWitt became, I think he was first trumpet. I think he was first trumpet there for many years.
Okay.
I think it was then. It's probably 1973,
Okay.
74. And then I heard all the people playing the finals, and I said, well, wait a second, you know, these guys are not really that much better than me. So I have to stop being nervous about this and just go play.
Yeah.
That was good. If you get to listen to the finals, if you get to do that, you'd feel much better about yourself. Because people, they just psych themselves out, you know.
Yeah.
But then again, auditions now you have to send a tape. And I've heard students send tapes in that I think are just fine, worthy of 10 minutes of your time, rejected. Thinking like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Get off that. You should hear everybody live who wants to play.
Yeah, I agree.
No
yeah.
tapes, no nothing. Really? You poor motherfuckers don't have 10 minutes, you know, have a few hours of your time?
Yeah.
You're too busy? My ass. You're working 20 hours a week, you fucking no talent, no music motherfucker.
Walk us through.
Stiff-ass, tight-ass motherfucker.
Now, your audition, please walk me through the differences between your audition that you took and the last audition you listened to while a member of the Met. And how do those differ over the years?
I would just sit there thinking like, wow, it's good I'm not auditioning today.
You heard a lot of good players.
Yes, always. Always. There's a lot of good ones. And then you hear players who are probably really, really good who play, they just don't rise to the occasion. They just don't play like they play.
But the process was about the same between...
About the same, sure.
Oh, okay. Audition preparation. How do you coach your students to prepare for an audition? What's your process?
Yeah, when I auditioned at the Met, I had the music 10 days ahead of time. So that's probably a good thing because it eliminated a lot of people, drones, who practice the same thing over and over for 6 years.
Yeah.
So this was
You
like
find that counterproductive then, the overpractice?
Well, I mean, it just then you can get some gorilla like Pink Pete Bond, who could learn all this music. They learn all the standard excerpts and they can play them. And but I had the music 10 days ahead of time. That was better because that eliminates people who can't read and people who have no ear.
So then you encourage your students to practice varied music, not just a list. And
yeah, they have to. You have to. If you're prepared, if you know the pieces, then you don't need to over practice them. You need to think about them before you do it.
Right.
Some things you need to practice all the time so you don't lose them. Things that go fast.
Okay.
Technical things, Petrushka, Rebel Piano Concerto.
We've heard you practice Petrushka.
Yes. Well, I mean, that was made in reaction to people playing Petrushka. I mean, there's like a lot of truth in that video.
Sure, yeah.
So of course I get Ganch and we were like totally fucking stoned and we did that thing. But it was good, and we played a lot. We had a good time doing that. That was fun. But yeah, it needs it. Petrushka has to, have a swing. You could go any speed you want.
Sure.
I mean, I played at every speed. You've had conductors do it slow, fast. What is this? Like with the drum, bump, da 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 da. It's like it's a non-event. It's like 18 seconds or 12 seconds. The end. People make it into a concerto, which it's not.
Right.
Just play the notes.
Yeah.
Play it nice.
Let's talk about the Met for a second.
Yes, sir.
You played there for 29 years.
I did.
You probably saw some highs and some lows. I want to hear about some of your highs with the Met. What were some of the absolute highlights of your time there?
Oh, there are a lot of highlights. It was like very fortunate to be there for various performances, opera performances that were on the very highest level.
What were some of those?
Othello with Levine. A lot of Mozart with Levine. When he did Mozart was really great. Some of the Verdi was really great. He did a great Othello. Carlos Kleiber, Rosenkavalier, that was like certainly a highlight. He conducted a few operas. Do you know Carlos Kleiber?
Of him, yeah.
Yeah. He makes all other conductors look foolish. In a way, sort of. Until he came, I didn't think that anyone could do what he did. But he did.
Wow.
So that was interesting.
What did you have to practice the most? Which opera?
Practice the most.
What was the hardest stuff that you played?
What's the hardest stuff to play? Probably the hardest stuff to play, in a certain way, the Strauss operas. But in another way, if you get it rolling, you're okay. You can sort of slam through them. I played all the Strauss operas, not as much because Mel Broyles was there when I was there.
Yeah.
And they were written for Mel Broyles, the Strauss operas. When the Strauss operas were programmed and he played them, it was like he was in his own movie.
Oh, wow.
Starring Mel Broyles, and it was quite something. Really extraordinarily great. So,
what types of things did you learn from Mel Broyles?
If there could be two people on earth who were diametrically different, it's me and Mel Broyles.
Okay.
Mel Broyles. What did I learn from Mel Broyles?
Did you guys get along okay?
He didn't speak to me for the first 2 years that I was there.
Take that
not
as a no.
that he was, not that he was, he was like particularly hating. He just like would not acknowledge that there was like another trumpet player in the world, sort of.
Uh-huh.
You know, he didn't really acknowledge another first trumpet player in the New York Philharmonic. He said that was Williams' job, Bill Bacchiano. So,
how did he sound?
who? Mel Burrows?
Yeah.
Oh, Mel Burrows is one of the great trumpet players ever.
Mm-hmm.
Great trumpet player. He premiered the Jolivet Concertino in 1961 in the United States.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did you hear the performance?
No,
Oh, okay.
but Mel was.
Did you take anything from his playing? Or were you much more of an individual player? Or?
No, I can't. We played so differently.
Mm-hmm.
So differently. It was like a very different approach
Yeah.
to the trumpet.
How would you describe your approach as opposed to him?
I'm much more like a jazz musician who was like by mistake put in the opera, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So it took a while to catch on to what I was supposed to do down there. But then after I did, I was good. I was good playing the operas.
Did you
Good
have any
time.
sort of?
I had good time, good
Okay.
rhythm, good time. That's really mostly what you have to do in the opera.
Mm-hmm.
Know when to play.
Do you miss anything about the job?
No. I mean, playing the job, no. I don't miss anything at all. I mean, it's funny. Right after I left, Levine got me tickets to see The Ring.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I quit, because it was coming back. So I only did 29 and not 30 years. So it was coming back. I said, fuck this. I don't want to do this shit again. So I left. I retired. So he got me a ticket. And I didn't know how I would feel, watching The Ring. So I felt fine watching The Ring. I was in no way did I really want to be there playing. Like, oh, wow, I wish I could be doing... No. I was happy to sit there.
What happened with you and Baroque ornaments with Kiri Takanawa?
Kiri Takanawa. Well, it was the last performance of Handel's Samson. And this aria, Bright River.
Sure.
Bum, 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 ba-da-ba-bam, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know the aria?
Sure.
Okay. So I was instructed not to put any ornaments. But it was the last performance. I figured, what the fuck?
How many performances?
I don't know, there were 7 or 8.
And you played every one with just straight.
Straight ahead.
And who told you not to do ornaments?
The conductor,
Okay.
Julius Rudell, my friend. He's dead now.
Okay.
Bless this motherfucker. This Viennese prick. He got nicer when he got to be 85. He was nice.
Okay.
No, he told me no ornaments. So I and then there's a bum bum, and then trumpet answers, bum bum, and I went bum bum. I went ba ba bum, something. I don't know. I played
Simple one. A simple ornament.
bum digga 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 da bum. Yeah, simple. Nothing. Nothing
Yeah.
too. And he stopped conducting. I was like, he got so pissed off. I didn't realize it was his birthday that day. So it was happy birthday. So I get in trouble over that.
Oh, okay. Mahler 5.
Right.
I think it was Jerry Schwartz.
Jerry Schwartz.
There's a rumor going around that you started playing Mahler 5 while he was bowing to the audience and they were still clapping.
No, they were. That's not exactly true, but they were adjusting the chairs on. It was at an outdoor festival.
Okay.
Getting the violins.
Which direction was he facing?
I don't know. He was like fucking around with the chairs. I said, "Fuck this! I'm really nervous." I just started playing.
And then what did he do?
Well, what he's supposed to do? I mean, everybody.
He hopped up on stage and started doing
Well, he
it?
was on stage. He was on the.
Oh, okay. Was he
He
pissed?
got on the podium. I mean, I don't know.
You didn't talk to him about it afterwards?
No, I mean, he wasn't really that pissed. I didn't talk to him, no.
How did you play?
I thought it was pretty good.
You played it well?
Yeah, I think it was good.
Okay. You feel like you would have played it worse if you'd waited? Worse if you'd waited.
I don't know. I mean, I'd play it worse if I had to play it now, If I had to play it now, then it would be a real adventure, Miss the first. All I'd be thinking about is playing the first 3 notes,
Sure.
I mean, and then I would I'd be panicked. The whole thing would be a panic to me,
Well, I think we'll take a little cut and do the monster round. If that's all right with you.
The what?
The monster round.
The monster round.
Yeah.
That you're going to play?
No,
What's the monster round?
it's the next part of the interview.
All right, we're good.
I don't need to cut that.
Okay.
We good?
Yeah.
You're going to edit out some stuff that I could go to jail for. Or something.
Yeah.
No.
We'll
But
send
you
it-
can keep all the Pete Bond shit in. I don't give a shit. That
We'll send
fucking
it to you
gorilla.
before we upload it.
ADD Gorilla. I like that.
Pete's hysterical. ADD Gorilla.
I hope he changes his Facebook name to
We had a lot of fun with Pete. He was a lot of fun. He was a
He's
really
great.
cool guy.
He's hilarious. He used to come in every day with a new trumpet because he'd be bored and he'd put together a new trumpet. And sometimes they'd work, and sometimes it would be like, what the fuck is that? You know, it'd be just like,
He would put it together himself?
yeah, he would solder on a different bell with lead pipes. He'd get it, you know, he'd open up the bell. It's like, what the fuck? Pete Bond. He'd throw his trumpet up in the air, and he would never knew where we were. You know, he's supposed to be counting measure. Never had the faintest fucking idea where we were. There was one time in Wozzeck where the horn came in wrong. The horn came in wrong in Wozzeck. There was like an interlude, and we were playing There's a Rest. And I'm thinking, when I heard it, I'm not sure that that's right. And Levine was at this time, you know, he was not well. He didn't react to it. I'm thinking like, oh boy, this is an adventure, you know. And then it's cascading catastrophe that over 2 minutes, it's wrong. And then I turned to Pete. I said, Pete, you know where we are? And he goes, whoop, I don't know. And I said, right, I figured, you know, what the fuck.
So you didn't know where you were either.
Well, no, I knew that something was not right. And of course, I have a big, loud trumpet thing come in, and everybody has my cue, right? You know, in the parts, it's trumpet,
Yeah.
right? So I said, well, what the fuck? I'll come in now.
Did you come in right?
I have no idea because half the band went with me, half the band went this way. The Red Sea parted. It was cool.
Okay, this is the Monster Round. This is where we ask you a series of rapid fire questions. You answer with the first thing that comes to your mind.
Oh boy.
You ready
Okay,
for Monster
go
Round?
ahead.
If you could trade places with anybody on earth, who would it be?
LeBron James,
What's your favorite Pink Baby Monster video?
the natural trumpet.
What musician would you pay to be able to play with?
Chris Thiele,
Favorite opera?
Don Giovanni.
What's your best sport?
Me playing it,
Yes.
baseball.
Oh, back to this one. Which trumpet player would you be most likely to take a lesson from today?
Winton.
What music would you like to be played at your funeral?
Music at my funeral. The Sesame Street theme.
What would the recessional be?
Same.
It would just be ongoing, droning throughout the...
Right through the whole service.
What non-politician would make the best president?
Non-politician would make the best president. Me.
What's the least understood aspect of trumpet playing?
Balance.
Who would you rather have dinner with, Genghis Khan or Darth Vader?
Genghis Khan.
What's the first album you ever bought?
First time I ever bought was Miles Davis. Working with the Miles Davis Quintet.
Oh, okay. Who's the sexiest woman alive?
My wife. Fucking hell. Sexiest woman alive. Caitlyn Jenner.
Okay.
Does she still have a dick?
No.
I don't know. I think they did cut it off.
No
didn't
dick. They cut the
It's
dick
gone.
off?
Yeah.
Where is the dick?
In a jar,
Smithsonian,
pickled,
right.
pickled, yeah.
What are you reading now?
I'm reading this book called Nexus. I can't remember the author of this. It's a sci-fi taking place in 2040
Oh.
about the coincision of computers and humans with various splices and DNA stuff put in the brain.
Okay.
You know, the concision of computer and the brain.
Which book, not about music, would you most like your trumpet students to read?
That's it. That's an interesting question. What one book? Impossible to answer. There's so many. If they read any book, would be good. I mean, if they read a book, would be good. You know, a book, any book. No one reads any books anymore.
Right.
They don't read any books. What would they read? Any Shakespeare would be good.
Okay.
Really read Shakespeare.
Okay. What do you like better, rainbows or babies?
Rainbows.
What's wrong with babies?
What's right with babies?
What's the most?
That's fair.
What's the most inspiring musical event you've ever been a part of?
Rosencavalier with Carlos Kleiber.
Mark Gould, thanks so much for joining us. It was
It's
a pleasure
great pleasure
talking with you.
Great
Thank you.
pleasure.